Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mr. Recon, and I have a new girl review for you, and the girl is going to be Izanami. But before we get into today's video, if you have not subscribed to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. With that being said, let's get into the video. Izanami is going to be a demon and a priest. She is a support girl, mainly. She is two of the best support girls in the game. So it's Izanami and Vivian. Those are the two best right now we have. So if you need a support girl and you've got copies of her, 100% builder. Now let's just jump into our abilities. Alright, first off, we're going to start with our active, Death Blossoms. It deals 200% of attack damage to frontline enemies, has a 70% chance to purify targets for 2 rounds, adding 2 stacks of Lily Shields to all allies. The Lily Shields neutralizes damage of the next basic attack or skill attack, damage received, and self-heals it for 100% of damage for the HP. So essentially, let's say a girl does 3 million attack, it will convert 3 million of that into HP, or essentially it's going to heal your girl for that much. Next up, we got Blossoms Conceal. It's passive. HP is increased by 20%, attack by 25, damage reduction by 25, and reduces control effect received by 1 round. So if someone stuns her, let's say for 2 rounds, it'll only be 1 round. If they purify her, for 1 round, it'll be 0 and it won't happen, kind of a thing. So it just reduces the amount of rounds by 1. Next passive we have is Flower Shadows. Hunts down targets of allies' active skills 3 times, dealing 200% of attack damage to 1 random enemy each time. So if the active skill by the girl attacks, let's say, hits 3 girls, it'll randomly pick whichever one it wants to hit. So it could be 2 to 1 or 1 1 1. If it's only 2 girls, it'll be 2 and 1. Very rarely we get all 3 on the same girl, but it is possible. On that note, though, Fenrir does block these passive attacks from her. So if all 3 land on a Fenrir, it's going to trigger her passive to do damage and heal. So just a side note on that. And then lastly, we have Purple Haze, not to be confused with Jimi Hendrix' song, if anyone's wondering. Attack changes to deal 100% of attack damage to 2 random enemies and adds 1 stack of Healing Curse. The Healing Curse will neutralize the next healing effect target receives and deals 100% of neutralized HP damage. This is supposed to, whenever a girl gets healed, take that heal and convert it into damage. As far as it working all the time in the game, don't really know. Some people say it's not. Some people say it's working. So just be aware that it's supposed to deal damage. The healing amount that's supposed to be dealt is supposed to deal damage to her. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into some of the fights and how she works and performs. A side note, Izanami is right now, because she is not faster than Kratos. Kratos has that speed skin, so it makes her faster. If people are running Kratoses with energy antiques on the Kratos, it's faster on the Izanami, and they just go turn 1 on you. And so it's more beneficial to just run echoes on Izanami at that point, to just do really fast shields and put them up. Obviously, the Kratos is just going to get around that, but that's the situation we're in. Now, if you have pink gear sets and they don't, and you make it for an Izanami, it'll be faster than the Kratos, so then you can just go ahead and do turn 1 shields, and that would screw them up. But then again, if they notice that after a while, if they were smart, they'll just take the speed antiques off their Kratos and just go for a turn 2 play, essentially. That would be the smart way to go. Alright, let's see this. Now, I made mine go first, and as I watched this earlier, the smart thing to do is to just put an echoes on this instead of a fake crystal, and have it to where she goes round 2, so it just automatically is going to target the Kratos' actives. Because usually people, when they're making nefs, they only have 1 speed nef, and the rest are going to be tanks. So it's going to be, the other 2 are going to be probably slower than the Kratos. So it'd be more beneficial for that. See how I don't have any shields, but it still did the heals at the top. See, we have the marks, how it hits the 3 of them. I'm trying to get a good example of it. That goes off. I don't really. Here's an active. So random. So technically could have won after any 4 of them, but it hit 2 on the Neff, which was nice. I like how the targets that won, as long as it wasn't Fenrir. But that's good example. So here's 2, right? 1. See, it should have hit the target of the active, but it didn't on that one. That's interesting. It was supposed to only hit the 2 girls, technically per the wording, but it didn't. As I'm not surprised. Things just don't work out as you always want them to. Alright, we're just going to get into the analytics of the fight. So, she doesn't do as much damage as Vivian. Sometimes the longer the fight goes, I've seen Izanami get up to 11 million before. She's not really a damage dealer, but she has more support. So, we look at her heals. Bam, right there. 31 million heals. A big part of that is because Kratos does a lot of damage, and she's a really good counter to Kratos. So if you can time your Kratos to offset Izanami's, you're in a good position. Okay, I have an example for you guys here on how the shields work against an active. So on this picture right here, the active ability is going to be the bottom right Kratos, as you can see in the screen right here, where the Kratos is doing the animation with her Gatling gun, the speed skin. The top 2 had shields, the bottom 2 did not. Also, on a side note, if you're wondering why the damage is higher on the bottom compared to the heals on the top, the 2 up top do have the heal debuff, 3 stacks of it from the Neffs. So the damage was probably more, but because the healing debuff is counteracting that, it's only healing for a certain amount. So that's why they're only healing for less than 2 million, when the other one's 1.5 million. But the damage is higher up down there because if they had shield marks, the heals would have been higher because they do not have the heal debuff. And if you wonder why, it's because of Vivian. Vivian's removing debuffs on girls. So, but the other ones up top just didn't get removed.
All right, lastly, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go over the gears, the antiques, and the crystal for Izanami. Now, you don't have to run split gear. You can just do straight angel. Split gear is preferred at giving her more HP, while also giving her the speed boost from the boots from the classic gear set to give her extra speed. As far as the crystal goes, you speed and HP, that's the main one you're going to use. Either pretty much the one you want. If you get like speed crit or speed attack, I guess you can go ahead and use that, but try to get it to speed HP. That is the one that just needs to be used for her, because you're trying to get her to go first before everybody else, or time it to where that she can go to counter the amount of damage from girls that are going to use actives. And lastly, the antique is going to differ. The 2 main ones that you should be going for is either your echoes or fake crystal for her. Obviously, fake crystal is going to go round 1, and echoes is going to go round 2. So if you don't have those and you have some sort of speed antique, you can use that, whether it be power of wind or neutron blades or a punishment sword. Or you can also, for your energy, you can use fake guide or the mirror. It just depends on what you have, but just remember you need either energy antique or a speed antique for her, depending on how your meta in your server or cluster is. As far as limit breaks for her, the limit breaks are going to be 3-1, 3-3, 2. Plain and simple, that's what that needs to be. Some people might be like, well, why don't we just use HP? No, you're trying to make her as fast as possible, so the extra speed is going to help, and then reducing crit, obviously, and then the debuff removal. Even though we have Vivian in the format, it's still very important to use it. This is what you want to use. So for the most part in PvP, 3-1, 3-3, 2 is what you need to use for her LBs, period. Just leave it at that. That's going to be her best LBs to help in PvP. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you for this video on Izanami. If you have any questions regarding her further, you can either message in my Discord, the link will be down below, or you can ask me on a live stream about her. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching today's video. Have a nice day.